folks. We're back for a Week 10, a Live at 5 announcement, and this is a special one.
It is. It's so special because it's the last one.
Exactly.
So Week 10, and I think we're August 21st, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So we are super excited. Obviously, we got a shout out to Rocky Mountain Credit Union, our diamond sponsor, and also this week highlighting Silverman Law Office. So thanks for the sponsorships. If we didn't have that, we couldn't bring amazing quality musicians like we have for Week 10. And we are so excited because not only are we going to talk about the band, but we actually have the band here. It's Gilda House.
Awesome.
Hello.
So Meg is here
Welcome.
in the studio with us. Meg, thanks so much for coming up and taking some time with us.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
So we kind of thought it would be a great way for folks to get to know you. You know, you've been up through Helena several times now, and every time the crowd's getting bigger and bigger. So more and more people are starting to know your music and super into it. I know you have a new album that's about to come out, or did it already release, or at least a single that came out?
So good question. We released the first single from the album, Anamkara, back in April. But we've got some more plans for the rest of this year, and then something full and complete next year.
Awesome. Very
Yeah.
cool. So can you give us an idea, just like kind of how you got into this? And, are you a Montana girl, or where did you come from? I don't know enough about you.
Oh, sure. Well, I am a Montana girl. I grew up in Red Lodge.
Oh,
and
cool.
My parents still live there. I'm still a Montana girl. Now we live in Billings. But let's see, I started playing the violin when I was in the second grade.
What drew you to the violin?
My older sister. I'm a middle kid, and I just wanted to be as cool as Sally. And she played violin, and so I
Nice.
played violin.
Very cool.
Yeah, as it goes.
Yeah.
But that was the first introduction to music, and then ever since then, like I always loved doing the musicals and singing in school. And I had a really fantastic opportunity to leave Montana and to go live in New Hampshire for 4 years on a scholarship in high school for a boarding school called St. Paul's School.
Nice.
And so I spent 4 years out there.
That had to be a
and-
pretty big culture shock.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, it was. There was so many things, especially now in hindsight, that were incredibly beautiful and also like so challenging and interesting to face those things at like 14
Yeah.
instead of 19 or,
Right.
whenever the time is that you kind of leave home. Definitely an experience I would not change for anything. But this school is incredibly well endowed, and they have a whole music studio in the top of their music building.
Wow.
And I was just fascinated by that, and I always wanted to do it. And so you kind of had to take a few introductory music classes before you got the opportunity to take bigger ones and actually be in the studio and learn how to record and write. And so I
cool.
eventually got there and learned how to do it.
Classically trained.
I
That's
guess so, if
pretty
there is such a
awesome.
thing in like
Yeah.
popular music.
So then after high school, you were there, boarding school, then you moved back to Montana, or did you go somewhere in between?
Oh, the story. I was so stoked. I went to New York University's Tisch School of the Arts for like recorded music.
Wow.
And I was so excited because I got into that program, and that was my dream school. I didn't apply anywhere else. But the first semester there, I'm not a city girl. I struggled to feel like I belonged, and I think mental health and just all the things that can happen. And I was like, okay, I'm going home. This is not the spot for me. And I ended up back in Montana, and never thought I would ever play music again. I thought it was over. I was like, wow, if this is just not for me, clearly.
That's very interesting.
What got you back to it?
I got there's a band. Do you remember when Arterial Drive has
Yep,
played up
yep,
here?
yeah.
So that was the first time I played up here
Okay.
in Lewis and Clark Tap Room.
Wow. And,
Yeah.
and
That's
awesome.
I'm sorry to say, I don't even remember you being in
Isn't
the
that
band
funny?
because it's been so long. But
Yeah.
now I do. It's like, oh, okay, that's right. They were probably the first band we had out of Billings.
Yeah, I remember coming up here and we played a couple of totally banging shows, like
Yeah.
people dancing, just so much fun. And Arterial Drive is like a semi-original, semi-cover band. They do still play, but I stopped playing in that band as like March 2020 kind of came onto all of us.
Okay.
Yeah.
And anyway,
And the next project was
Gilda House.
Okay.
Yeah. So I played in that band for like 5 years or so, and I played violin and I sang. And then I kind of wanted to get back to like, I love writing on a computer. I love producing music. I love arranging music. And I didn't necessarily get to scratch that itch the same in Arterial Drive because it's just instrumentation and every genre, everything was totally different.
Sure.
So then over the course of everything shutting down, I made a lot of music, and that was the first Gilda House like EP came out right before all that.
So Gilda House was kind of a studio project at first?
Yeah, it was 100% a studio project, and it was just me. And so
you must have started playing synthesizer and some other stuff?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
awesome.
Yes, I produced the first record and put it out, and it's cool. Like along the way, Gilda House, each record has brought like somebody new and perfect into the project and made it way better and expanded what we can be. And so the first person who heard the first record that I did was Sean.
Oh.
And so Sean Lynch manages us. He writes with us in the studio. He mixes our project as well and is
very cool.
Wonderful. He asked if I was working on anything new as everything was shutting down, and he runs the pub station in Billings, for those of you who don't know Sean Lynch, and had been a recording engineer a long time previous to that, and went back to recording and back to mixing as there was no shows to be had for any of us. And he invited me to see if I had anything I was working on, and I needed some mixing help. So the next record pulled him in, and then the next record pulled Tony in, and then the next record pulled Nick in. And so it's just all been a really cool build. And now it's way better that it's not just me. I think the music has grown and changed over the last 3 records in a cool way when I listen back.
That's
awesome.
awesome.
Who are Tony and Nick?
It's a good question. Gilda House is a 3-piece band. I wish they were here with me. It's really fun when we're all together. But Tony plays guitar and synth in Gilda House, and he's been with us since 2021. And Nick plays the drums, and he also is incredibly creative and amazing as a light designer. And so he does all of our light design and is that person for our band and kind of helps create the vibe and the mood. And he's been with us for like a year and a half now.
Some of your photos are amazing with the light.
Thank you.
And that's one thing I noticed from the very first time we had Gilda House is it's an experience that you go through. It's not just amazing vocals and great music, but there is a really cool like environment that gets created during the show. And it does make a difference. And so I'm really, really excited to have Gilda House for Alive at 5, because a lot of these folks that come to Alive at 5, and we've had a diverse selection of music this year, from country to rock to blues and so it introduces them, because sometimes Rick and I have talked about people that don't necessarily want to buy a ticket to go see a show, and they would normally obviously buy a ticket to see you. So to have the ability to see Gilda House for free is going to be really cool for people. And it also allows people to experience maybe a different genre of music than they normally would, and then realize, wow, I really like that.
You don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
Until you know it, right?
So it's going to be a lot of fun, and it'll be a little bit different being outside, but it's such a festive atmosphere. And I know we're working to bring some other folks in at the beginning of the show, and then afterwards probably do some DJ stuff with the synthesis guys and stuff. And so I think it'll just be a fun night and evening of great live music, and out on the patio there. We're really excited. Thank you so much for having for coming to play for us.
For having us. I have a few things actually. I love the synthesis guys, and I've always wanted to be a part of one of their nights. So yes.
Yeah, it's going to be fun.
They're great. And Helena, like for us as a band, is one of the few places that we've been playing since we started playing any shows at all. Like I think our very first show here was actually out the loading dock of the Myrna Loy for a street party that they had.
Nice. Yeah, they closed down the street like once a year.
Rodney Street, I think it was. Yeah. But so the last show that we did here, I think, was in October, and it was the first experience or time where like a couple of really amazing people showed up with like this Gilda House glam tear makeup.
Yeah, I remember
that. I had done. Now it's the first time like you're like, oh my God, they know. Yeah. They're not just like here, like they know. And
They're
that
fans.
felt really good. So I hope we see you
Yeah.
and all your friends. And so it's a cool town for us to come back and have had like that. I mean, we're still like growing and we have a long way to go.
And I know that it's hard to describe, and a lot of musicians they struggle with, because you don't want to be kind of pushed into a genre. But if people were to ask you, and I'm sure this happens all the time, you say, I'm in a band. Oh, what kind of band? What do you normally say to that question? Like, what genre of music is it?
Yeah. Lately, I've been saying we're like indie, heavier synth pop.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good mix of.
We had these nice guys that we met in Boise, Idaho, describe us as wholesome metal, and that was funny to me. So that's not one I've ever heard again.
Yeah.
But I think it captures some elements of what we do. But
Cool.
I think it goes all over the place. It's meant to be a emotional safe space and just a place where you can jam out and do it to whatever you need to do it to.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Helena has you August 21st for
August
Live
21st,
at 5.
Wednesday.
So what else do you have? Any tour dates or any other shows that you have, bigger shows that you have lined up for the summer or fall, or are you still putting that
Any
together?
festivals or?
Oh yeah, I mean, so it's still coming together, but we do have some really cool ones I'm excited for.
Nice.
Like in June 22nd, we are in Wichita,
Nice.
Kansas, and we're playing the very first inaugural Elsewhere Fest, which will be really cool. They have a pretty fun lineup, and we've got some fun friends down in Wichita that we're really excited to do that with them for them. We're also playing a Levitt Pavilion in Sioux Falls, South Dakota this year.
Okay.
And do you
Nice.
guys know anything about Levitt Pavilions?
No, I
No.
don't.
They're pretty cool. They're almost like a bigger version of a Live After 5 in that they're these large public
Community
community spaces that were built with the intention to showcase and build up artists who are building and who are at the bottom and are trying to
nice.
get up and play bigger stuff. And they have a budget to pay everybody like that, and like 2,000 or 3,000 people show up. And
Oh, that's
so
awesome.
I'm excited for that one. The Levitt Pavilion in
Sioux
when is
Falls.
that one? Sioux Falls.
Or is it another South Dakota?
July 11th, I think.
Or July. Okay.
Yep.
I'm sure
Yep.
they can find it on your
Yep.
website.
Yeah.
under
Oh,
the
yeah.
tour.
And what
Definitely.
is that website?
Oh, yes. Gildahouse.com is
Nice.
where you can find our basically everything. And then if you're on social media, we're mostly on Instagram and a little bit on Facebook, and that's Gilda House Music. But check us out. We love to have fun.
Cool. I'm excited. Max, any other questions you have?
No, I think this is going to be awesome, and to close out Alive at 5 with this kind of party is going to be really special, and it'll be a special night out on the patio behind the Lewis and Clark Tap Room. Again, thanks to Rocky Mountain Credit Union and Silverman Law Office for helping us bring great talent like Meg to town with Gilda House. So we appreciate all that community support. And now I think, Rick, you're going to run some music.
Well, Meg, I'm going to ask you, though, give you a chance if there's anything else that you want to tell your fans or anything else, or did we cover it all?
Oh, you guys did a pretty good job. I always just like seeing where it goes, But we do have our most recent single that we put out is called Anam Cara. It came out in April. And music-wise, in the Gilda House world, like I wrote that first record. That second record was mixed by somebody else, but written by me. And then the third one was the most collaborative that we had been, but it was still finishing an already started idea I had. So this song and what we're doing now is like Gilda House in true form, all four of us, including Sean, writing together and like doing
nice.
that. Yeah, so
Collaborative,
it's collaborative in a way that I think makes it better than it can
And
be.
what's the story
if it's
behind this song? And then Rick will end up playing it as we go out here.
Okay. Anam Cara is an Irish term meaning soul friend. And it's largely like, it's a huge concept, first of all, like way bigger than you can fit in any one song, actually. So I had to zoom in on a part of it. There's a book written by, what's his name? Can I look it up and can we edit that in? Okay.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah.
It's John O'Donohue. I didn't even have to look it up.
Wow, look at you.
Well, I may leave that whole thing in.
Okay, well, all right.
Perfect.
You can do that. That's cool. That's fine. That was real. I was like, I know this. But John O'Donohue is like an Irish mystic writer, and he wrote this book that is kind of talks about the concept of anamkara, and what I wrote the song about is the moment of time in your life where you encounter an anamkara. It can be a really quiet moment that you could easily almost ignore if you're not like paying attention to things. You can have many anamkara or soul friends in your life, but there's a moment of like immediate recognition with a person that is somebody you encounter time and time again. And so that's what this song is kind of zooming in on, is like that moment of recognition with somebody like that in your life.
Very cool.
That's fantastic. Well,
It's a
let's
whole different meaning. We listened to it the other day, and it's amazing music. So I'm so excited to expose this to so many other people. So it's going to be great.
let's do it. Cheers.
Cheers.
Take a break, head down, working hard, look up. We could celebrate how far you've come. Have some fun, you could be my lover. We will make it through the state of living undercover. So make all us other, you know it. Suddenly you recognize my face. I'll find you always. Loving you. Wish we could you feel it too. It's so soft, it's so smooth. Stay